Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Drundle. I'm the president of the Illinois Bass Fishing Coaches Association, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about the spring schedule for our 2020-21 season. And before I get into this, I just want you guys to all understand that this season culminates with our state championship in June, and then we start the next season thereafter. So if we have any graduating seniors, you can compete through the state tournament. But once we start into the next season, which would be, we have a July event, you cannot compete in those. So I'm going to get rid of my picture here. You guys don't need to see me. And we're going to start with Lake Newton in southern tip of Illinois. That's going to be on a Sunday in early March, so March 14th. So I'm going to go here to show you where this lake is. So Lake Newton is not too far from Effingham. Right here's Effingham, here's Mount Vernon, and it's located right over here. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. There it is. And this is a cooling lake, and it does have a 25 horsepower limit, but you can launch your boat with any size horsepower and use your trolling motor. The launch is up in this region up in here. And then it's very easy. This is a narrow lake, so it's easy to get to good fishable water very quickly, even with just a trolling motor. So this is where it's located. I'm going to take you to a website that you may or may not know. It's called ifishillinois.org. And this website, it's put on by the DNR, and there's a lot of information here. But by region, it's got all these lake maps. And you can click on all the regions, or you can simply just leave it on all lakes. So I'm just going to show you this for Newton. I'm not going to show you this for every lake, but you just click on Newton Lake. It brings up a basic map. It's not going to be very detailed. It gives you some basic information of what county it's in, the acreage, the average depth, how many shoreline miles, things like that. Here's where it tells you the horsepower limits. And then in there, every lake's a little different, but they're going to have stocking information. If a lake was stocked, you can see that some black crappie was stocked in the last couple of years, which can be a good source of food for bass, especially when they're small. But then this gives you an up-to-date status of a lot of the major species within the lake. And you can see for largemouth bass, they're calling this very good. And you guys can read through this. And then there's some other incidental information down here. Oftentimes they'll tell you the tournaments, so you can see what weekends there's tournaments on a given lake. You can see there's a lot of them on Newton. And the reason why Newton has so many tournaments and the reason why it's so popular, well, you can look at the large bass that were caught in this is last year during tournaments. But Bassmasters has, for the last, I don't even know, probably 20 years, has rated Newton Lake as one of the top bass fishing lakes in the whole country. So it's really a phenomenal lake, and we're really excited to have a tournament there. So we're going to stay in the southern part of the state. In fact, we're going a little further south 1 week later. So this is another Sunday on the 21st of March, and we're going to be going to Kinkaid Lake, and we're going to be using the main boat ramp by the marina there. It's called the Mount Joy boat ramp. So let's take you on a journey to Kincaid. If you've never heard of Kincaid, it's possibly a sleeper lake for people in the northern part of the state, but people in the southern part of the state know that it's a fantastic bass lake. Some people put it in their top 3 or 5 in the whole state. So here's Carbondale. So you can see we're down pretty far south. And as I zoom in, it's going to be a little bit east of Carbondale. Here's Murfreesboro, and it's east of that. I'm sorry, west of Murfreesboro, even a little bit further. So here it is. And it's a pretty good sized lake as far as total shoreline, because you can see it's a long, thin lake. You got some deep water. There's a dam right here. This dark green is the Shawnee National Forest. So probably close to half of this lake is in the National Forest, which means there's no houses, no boat docks, anything. Very natural, wooded, hilly shoreline. It's absolutely a beautiful, gorgeous lake, especially as you get down this arm here. And so lots and lots of fishable water. The total acreage, let's see, I'm not even positive, so let's go here and just find out what the total acreage is. All right, so we're just going to go to Kincaid. Let's find it here. There it is, Kincaid Lake. So total acreage is 27.5. That doesn't sound real big, but the shoreline is 82 miles. So there's lots and lots and lots of shoreline. So it's very fishable. Boats will spread out very quickly in this tournament. So we're really excited about that. And then for our third event, we're staying south. This one's actually further south than Kincaid, even Lake of Egypt. A lot of people have heard of Lake of Egypt. Um, I know in conversations with other fishermen, when you talk about your list of the top 3 or 4 or 5 lakes in Illinois, Egypt comes up pretty much every single time. Some people would rate it as the number one lake in the state. Obviously, that's all a matter of opinion. So we'll be taking off out of the Pyramid Acres Marina, and that'll be on Saturday, April 3rd. So early April. Some schools may be on spring break at this time, others may not. But let's take you there. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can get some perspective. So again, here's Carbondale. And here's Benton, so that's Rend Lake. As we go south, right here is Lake of Egypt. And Lake of Egypt, you can see there is some national park near it, but there are quite a few houses on this lake as well. So there's going to be some docks. It is a cooling lake, as is Newton. I didn't mention that, but Newton's a cooling lake as well. So this is the lay of the lake. It's got lots of fingers and arms and coves and very, very fishable water. Again, a lot of people would rate that as one of the best lakes in Illinois. So we're purposely going down to the southern part of the state early in the season where we're looking for some warmer water for that time of year. Obviously, in early March, fishing northern Illinois, you can still have ice. So that's why we go south. Okay, then we're going to move to the middle part of the state. So on Saturday, the 17th of April, we're going to go to Lake Springfield, and we're taking off out of Lindsay Bridge. Most people know where this is, but I'm going to zoom in and show you. So Springfield, right here, this lake, partially, there it goes, butts up to the community of Springfield and Rochester and Chatham a little bit. Lindsay Bridge is right here. There's a causeway or a bridge that goes across, and the boat ramp is right there. Again, very fishable water. Lake Springfield is really known as a good numbers lake. In fact, this is a lake where we could have 30 boats come in with limits. That's very typical. We had a tournament in late August last year, which is not prime time for Springfield, and we had 32 boats, and over 20 of those boats had limits. So really a good lake, tons and tons of 12 to 15-inch bass found in that lake. All right, from there, we're going to head a little bit further north in the Joliet area. We're at the end of April 24th. That's a Saturday. We're going to be at Heidecke. Now, Heidecke is a cooling lake for a power plant, and it's a little different than like Newton or Lake of Egypt because it's a perched lake, which means that it sets up a little bit higher so that it can catch wind and it can cool off the water. So this is it. So just so you have some perspective, here's Morris, Braidwood, Wilmington, Joliet. So here's the Illinois River, and this is the lake right here. So as I zoom in a little bit, this lake is a lot of riprap, probably 80% riprap, maybe higher. You can see there's a riprap area through the middle of this thing, which divides each side. Depending on the water level, there's a bridge you need to go under here. And if the water is a little bit lower, a lot of boats can get through here and fish on this side. If the water's up high, especially bigger boats with a windshield, probably won't be able to make it, or a big motor, you'd scrape your motor. This little area right through here is more natural. But anyway, it's a lot of riprap. There's a decent population, a very good population of smallmouth bass in that lake, and that is Lake Kincaid. I'm sorry, not Kincaid, Heidecke. Next, we're going to go further north into the suburbs now. This will be May 1st, and it's going to be at Bangs Lake, which is in Wakanda, Illinois. And this is a Take a Veteran fishing event where you will be paired up with a veteran who can fish in your boat. Now, the veterans are going to fish against the veterans only. So you can still have your team of 2 high school anglers, but you're going to have a veteran in there too fishing. And again, he's only competing against other veterans. If you have a veteran, if you have a friend that's a veteran or a family member, and you want to bring that veteran to be your fishing partner, then that's quite all right. Just bring that veteran with. And just so you know, their fish will not be counted into the bag with the students. So this is the Chicago suburbs here. This is going to be in the northern suburbs. So just so people can see, here's Elgin, Schaumburg, Crystal Lake. So these are some pretty big suburbs. We got to keep zooming in. But right here is Wakanda. It's north of Lake Zurich, a little bit west of Mundelein. And as I keep zooming in, it's right there. There's Bangs Lake. And Bangs Lake's not the biggest lake in the world. But it's got some backwater cuts that you can fish. It's more of a traditional southern Wisconsin dish bowl type of a lake. It's got some gravel, it's got some rock, but it's got a lot of weeds. The water's going to be much clearer than most people are used to fishing in the central or certainly the southern part of the state. And it does have a surprisingly good population of bass. There are some smallmouth bass in there, and as well as largemouth bass. That's the predominant species, is the largemouth. Okay, so our last tournament in May is going to be at the Fox Chain of Lakes, and this is the furthest north that we will go. This boat ramp says to be announced, but it's actually going to be at the state park on Grass Lake. So I'll show you where that is. So this will be on May 15th. So let's go to the map. So again, here's Wakanda and Bangs Lake. I'm just going to zoom out so you can see them both. So right here is the Fox Lake chain, and it is a chain of lakes, and it goes from here all the way up to here. So it's a lot of water that you can fish. There's a lot of different types of water. As you get up north, these are a little bit clearer and more like your dish bowl southern Wisconsin lakes. And then some of these lakes are very shallow with a lot of grassy areas and whatnot. This is the Fox River feeding in right here, and then it goes out right here and eventually ends up at the Illinois River. And the boat ramp is on Grassy Lake, so it's going to be right in here, I believe. You come out of the river, so it's somewhere right in here is the ramp for that tournament. Okay, and then we have one more tournament before the state championship, and that'll be at Lake Shelbyville, which is in the central part of the state. That'll be on June 5th. Hopefully most people are out of school by that time, and let's go on a journey down there. So let me zoom out. So again, so you got perspective. Okay, so here's Bloomington, here's Champaign, here's Decatur, here's Mattoon, and it's kind of between Decatur and Mattoon, a little closer to Mattoon. So here it is. Now this is one of the bigger lakes in the state as far as total acreage and total mileage. There's just, you could have a 200 boat tournament on this lake and people will still not be on top of each other. The boat ramp we're going to use is right near town. So here's the town of Shelbyville. The dam is right here. And then the boat ramp would be right here. Here's the dam west access area, and boat ramp is going to be right there. There's several other boat ramps on this lake. You can use any boat ramp you want to put in. You just have to be over to the takeoff spot before your flight is supposed to take off and check in. And that's true of any tournament we fish. You can use any boat ramp. You're not limited to the boat ramp where we are. The only limitation is the way we're doing weigh-in right now with COVID is people are trailering their boats directly to the scale. Obviously, if you use the boat ramp up here in Possum Creek or something, you're just going to dock your boat, tie up to the shore, and get a weigh bag, and you're going to walk those fish up. So that's the only thing that to think about. But this is really a good lake. Lots of timber, lots of plenty of fishable shoreline. You can see all the cuts, all the coves and fingers. There's just so many. There's a lot of stumps. Some of them have eroded over the years, but there's still a lot. There's a lot of gravelly banks and big flats. So unlimited areas to fish. It's really a vast fishery. If you've never been to it, it's really a great lake to fish. And it typically is a sectional lake every year. So that's our tournament schedule. We're really excited. And just to reiterate, there has been one change. The coaches talked to us about that they didn't feel it was important for the coaches to fish. That, in fact, most coaches weren't fishing because they didn't want to take away any potential fish from their team. So as a board, we decided to not allow coaches to fish anymore. However, the second place team now will be winning 10% of the entrance fees. So that's the money that the coaches were getting instead. So that's a a good thing. That's more money or more opportunities for our kids, and that's really what the ICAST is all about: is trying to improve youth fishing in the state of Illinois. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you at one of these tournaments. And here's a sneak peek. We do have our summer fall portion of the next season already set, and we'll be talking about that in probably a whole different video. So take care, and we'll see you at the tournaments.